Muy bienvenido todo el mundo a un nuevo DD Show. Estamos con un invitado muy especial, Chris Marlowe, con nosotros, que entiende algo de español, pero no tanto. Así que no sé si tengo que decir muy bienvenidos o welcome everybody to another DD Show. We are here with Chris Marlowe. I'm Nico Landi y está conmigo Ignacio Pablo Barrón y vamos a estar charlando con Chris durante 15-20 minutitos de todo lo que dejó la temporada de Denver y de Facu. Chris, how are you? Everything okay over there?
I'm doing very, very well. How about you guys?
Very well. We're fine. A little cold in Argentina in these times. I don't know what the weather is like in Denver.
It's hot. It's 90 degrees every day now in Denver.
So I'm kind of jealous of your weather over there. I
didn't think it got cold in Argentina. I thought it was always hot down there.
No. I can promise you it's not.
It gets cold.
Nachi nos va a contar un poquito de Chris para tener algo de background y ahora vamos a ir a hacerle algunas preguntitas, pero contanos un poquito para los que no saben. Chris era un eximio jugador de voleibol y un actor también.
Yeah, Chris, we're gonna talk about you a little bit for the Argentinian fans in Spanish. Chris es campeón olímpico de vóley en Los Ángeles en 1984, le gana la final a Brasil. También tuvo un costado actoral, trabajó en Side Out como actor, en The Sixth Man en el año 97. Tiene 8 Juegos Olímpicos en la NBC relatados. Entonces es un profesional que ha trabajado con fútbol, boxeo, natación, vóley, gimnasia, waterpolo, fútbol americano, póker, saltos ornamentales. Es alguien completo y quien tiene mucha interacción con los fans en Twitter, sobre todo argentinos, quienes lo ayudaron a llegar a 10.000 seguidores y demás, algo de lo que estaremos hablando. Y ahora, sorry Chris, I talk a lot in Spanish, but I think you got some of the things I said. It's more like your resume, what you've been doing all these years, and now you're working Attitude Sports, and you worked obviously with all the season at Denver, and now that everything has come to an end, that Phoenix swept the Nuggets in the ball arena, what's your overall balance after a tough year with so many injuries in the team?
Yeah, I would say that overall it was a very good year. I think the team played well for the most part. I think Nikola Jokic had an MVP season. He was the MVP. I think the arrival of Facu Campazzo definitely energized the team. I think perhaps without the injuries to Jamal Murray, Will Barton, and PJ Dozier, the Nuggets may have had a better chance to go on and play for the championship. So I think all in all, it was a really good season. I'm disappointed that it came to an end the way it did. I always used to tell my daughters when they were playing sports, they would get all very discouraged when the season would end. And I say, well, it always ends badly. Every season ends badly unless you win the championship. If you win the championship, it's great. And then you can celebrate for another year. But every other team, all 29 other teams in the NBA, will be sad at the end of the day when someone wins the championship and they don't.
Yeah, but maybe there are ways to lose, and this is not the one Denver expected, I think. But talking about Facu, you mentioned his energy. How would you describe his rookie season? Facu is not the regular rookie, so it kind of takes another analysis. You saw every game of his. So how do you describe his evolution throughout the season?
I think he had a very good season, particularly coming in. As you mentioned, 29-year-old, 30-year-old rookie, but he's not the regular rookie. And I think he kind of had to earn his way with the players and the fans. He had to show them his stuff, so to speak. And I think he did that. He had a great game last night, I thought. 14 points, made 4 threes. The only thing last night, he got in foul trouble. So that was a bummer. But generally, I think a very good season for Facu. I think next year he will be better, in my opinion. I think there was a little adjusting to the length of the three-point line. When you come from international ball, it's a little bit shorter, NBA a little bit longer, and the players are a little bit taller and faster. So I think his shooting will be better next year. His playmaking was great. And I think what surprised most people in Denver and surprised me is how good a defensive player he was. If he was 6'5" in that body and played defense like that, he'd be the defensive player of the year. He was really incredible. And I think, the Denver Nuggets did not have a great defense. I think we can all say that, but he was really good for his first season.
You talked about his defense, but being an Argentinian is like a trademark of ours. Just give everything all the time that we are playing. But were you surprised with the Argentinian feedback that you had on Twitter? Because it's like uncanny. You did some things like the 1, 2, 3 para Facu. In the past with, I don't know, Timofey Mozgov, you spoke in Russian. With Hernan Gomez, you spoke in Spanish. But here in Argentina, Campazzo has, I don't know, like an angel, like a brighter light. Everyone is behind Campazzo. I know that Gabriel Deck, also another Argentinian that came to the league, doesn't have the same spirit. Campazzo is like anything else. So were you surprised with that feedback from the Argentinian people?
Yes, I was. As you mentioned, I have done that with other players, and it's been fun to get that interaction, particularly with a couple of the Argentinians that I've been texting very, very closely with. And they said they would get my followers up from 6,000 to over 10,000. They did it very easily. It's just been really fun. I like interacting with the people of other countries. I mean, we get a lot of feedback here in the United States, but I think there's something special about Campazzo. The Argentinian fans are very vocal and very passionate about him, and he's easy to root for. It would be different if he was a different kind of a player. Yeah. People didn't like him or whatever, but he's so likable and he hustles so much, and he's such a national hero in Argentina. And I knew when the Uno Dos Tres kind of blew up. When it really hit me is when some people started sending me some videos of their grandmother saying Uno Dos Tres, their little baby saying Uno Dos Tres, and little kids saying it, and that was really gratifying. It's really been a fun ride.
So we're also journalists, so we follow a lot of play-by-play and commentators around the league in Spanish and English, and I love like that kind of phrases that you guys have. How did you came with the 1, 2, 3 para Facu? Was that something that you were planning on doing? Was it spontaneous?
It was just something that I grew up and I took 3 years of Spanish in La Escuela. And I've always dabbled in Spanish. I took some Babbel courses. I try to keep up on it. I'm not fluent, but I always feel like Spanish is my second language, and that I could make up a phrase or two if I wanted to. And I was trying to think of something that would fit Facu. And I don't know why that particular phrase came into being. I just thought, wow, that kind of has a rhythm. Uno, dos, tres. And then I had to remember, oh yeah, para, yeah, that's for Facu. Yeah. And so, I just said it one night and it just felt natural. And then what was interesting is Scott Hastings, my broadcast partner who I work with, and Katie Wingy, who I work with, once I started saying it, they all wanted to say it with me. But I didn't want to use it too much so people would get tired of it. I didn't want, if he makes 5 in a game, it's a lot.
Facu maybe gave you a hand with that because he had a stretch like where it was difficult to say 1, 2, 3 para Facu, no?
Yeah, it was interesting. His shooting was very streaky this year. Like he'd make 5 and then, he might miss 4. And so, it all kind of rolled into one. the phrase was good. People seemed to respond to it. Started getting videos, and then when my partners would want to jump in, I had to kind of give them a signal. So sometimes Facu would hit one, and I'd go like this. No, don't say anything. That's me. Uno, dos, tres. Para Marlowe. Para Facu. But then if I wanted him to join in, I would just say, all together now. And that was kind of the signal that anybody could say it as loud as they wanted that was actually on the broadcast. And so I think people like that too.
Yeah.
And Chris, what's the craziest thing that happened with Argentinian fans? Because I read lots of things. They wanted to pick you at the airport. They wanted to pour you some Fernet Branca. That's a classical Argentinian Italian beverage. What's the craziest thing that happened with Argentinian fans?
I don't know if there was anything really crazy. The fans were just very generous and very inviting. I think they felt like I was on Facu's side, which I was and am. They felt like I was, I think, telling it like it is, like how it was supposed to be with him. And, as time kind of went along, it was easy to have, good interaction with the Argentinian fans. And they'd invite me to lunch, come on down, I'll meet you at the airport. All the things that you said were great. And I was right back. I'll be right there. I'm on my way. I'm bringing my knife and fork. I'd love to have some Argentinian beef, all of that. So I think this season went really well. I think there was a good connection between myself and our broadcast team with the Argentinian fans. And I really hope that it continues through next year.
We
Nice.
all hope that happens with Jamal on the court, of course. So we're going to take you out of Facu for a while. What's your take on last night's ejection of Nicola?
Oh, that's a tough one. Nicola, as great as he is, sometimes he gets frustrated that he's getting fouled. And sometimes he gets a little bit petulant. And it's a little bit disheartening to watch. He gets fouled and then he gets mad. And then he goes over and he whacks another player so he can stop the action and yell at the official.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I think happened last night, but he hit him too hard. He hit him too hard and he grazed him across the face. And then when you see Nicola wind up like that and get part of the nose, I think the player Cameron Payne really embellished that. I mean, he stayed down longer than a Brazilian soccer player, didn't he? I mean, come on. He was like, he was laying on the ground and he if he hadn't laid there for 2 minutes. Yes, he was accentuating the foul. And that's one thing that's kind of crept into American basketball, which I think is really bad. It's just you come to a point where you get frustrated with what's going on. So and then he was ejected. I thought the Nuggets actually played pretty well after he was ejected.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's a better team. Sometimes the team is better. And so I think sometimes you have to ride that out. And that's kind of what happened. I thought it was unfortunate. I wish he hadn't done it. I wish he would stop doing that because last night it might have cost us a game.
Well, actually it did. It cost a series and a year. I think it was a flagrant one, but he was so adamant as he was charging Cameron Payne that the actual punch or hit or whatever wasn't that bad, but because he was so nervous and frustrated, and then he had the meetup with Devin Booker, everything went sideways, and Nikola Jokic was finally ejected. You talked about he was deserving MVP. He was Steph Curry and Joel Embiid were the other candidates. This was a particular year. I don't know if you think the same, because a lot of players that were MVP caliber were injured. So Nikola stayed on court for 72 games, and I think it costed with his physicality. He was exhausted. I don't know if you agree on that or not.
You know what? You make a really fine point there. I'm not sure. I said to one of my partners last night, I admire Nikola Jokic because he wants to play. I admire the fact that he played all 72 games and that he was there for the team and the fans. But I believe he will never play all of the games again. I think that maybe looking back on that, that it would be better to rest him here, rest him there, rest him everywhere. He's a fabulous player. He's a great guy. But sometimes the coach has to step in and say, no, you're going to sit out.
Yeah.
The coach has to take I'm guessing that in Argentinian football, the players don't play every single game all season long. They kind of gear up and try to get to the playoffs. So it was an unusual year. I don't think it's going to happen again. I think they'll measure his games and minutes next year. And so say they play 82 games next year, maybe he plays 72 and he takes one off every 7 or 8 games. But I don't think that was the demise of the Denver Nuggets. I still think he played really, really well. Maybe not up to quite what he did during the regular season when he was a little bit more rested. But I think in the end, Phoenix just had a better team. They had better players and more of them. And without Murray and Barton and Dozier, the Nuggets just didn't have enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. You mentioned Mike Malone, and you work for Altitude or with Denver for 8 years, so you kind of saw all of his tenure in Denver. How would you describe, I don't know, I'm not a coach, and I think you're not a coach also, but maybe, but I think you have an opinion on some of his decisions. First, talking with the press, being so hard on the players in the middle of the series, and then with tactical decisions, like in the game of Lillard, 55 points and stuff. What's your take on Mike Malone's season?
I think he's a good coach. I don't think there's any doubt. When he got to Denver, the program was really down in the dumps. And I think that he has come a long way as a coach. They made it to the playoffs the last 3 years. I think they're the only team that's made it to the semifinals the last 3 years. I know that Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, the 2 top players on the team, have a great relationship with Michael Malone. Now, maybe some of the other players do not, but this year has been very difficult to figure that out because we don't get a chance to talk to the players and see the players and find out exactly what they're thinking. I think overall a good coach. Is he a great coach? I think that remains to be seen. To see, that's the big question here in Denver. Can Michael Malone get the Nuggets to the next level? Can he get them to the championship level? And I think we have to wait and see on that. I don't know if he can, maybe, but that's the decision. And if you were to make a change, who would you get?
Yeah.
Who is better than him? Phil Jackson, he's retired. Steve Kerr is taken. Where do you get another great basketball coach to come in? And if just speculating, if you were to make a change, what would that do for Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray? Do you want to alienate your 2 best players?
Yeah, and also, Chris, Denver is not the biggest market in the NBA, so you have to work with the cards that you're given. Nikola Jokic, 41st pick in the draft. Also, Jamal Murray, a talent born in Denver. Basketball wise, but I think next year, we come from conference finals and conference semifinals. Denver is not a bad team, but let's make that clear for everyone that's watching from the other side. But about next year and the upcoming seasons, do you see Facu as a solid part of this Denver team? Would you say he would keep developing? And what do you think his ceiling is? Also pairing him up with Jamal Murray when he's healthy, of course.
Yeah. Before we get to Facu, I just want to say, and you guys probably know this from our Argentinian sports and sports around the world, whenever you lose, everybody cries, particularly here in America. I mean, it's just like, what happened to our team? And we did this. We got to get rid of these players. And who can we get? You think LeBron would come to Denver? I mean, let's change the coach. There's just such angst that you almost have to wait a week or two to figure out, how it's all going to go down. That being said, I see Facu as a part of the rotation next year. I do. Mm-hmm. I think he's still got improvement in him, despite the fact that he's a little older player. But I think his adjustment to the NBA, now that he's been through it, I thought last night, it was interesting. I hope you guys watched the game, but
yeah, sure.
I thought last night that he played one of his best games of the season. He was free. He was easy. I almost think he played a little bit better when Nikola Jokic went out. He was back to kind of running the show.
Yeah, I think the lack of game plan, Chris, the lack of game plan between the ejection of Nikola and the end of the game made Facu a leader on court, a full-time leader on court. So every shot, obviously when Michael took him out, everything came down. But when he was on the court, I think he was a positive leader, and he was playing like he knows how to play. You mentioned in earlier interviews that you don't like Campazzo shooting a free from the corner. Campazzo is another kind of player. He's an excellent defensive player and also a very creative point guard. So I think Denver has to know how to take advantage of that qualities.
Yeah, I think it took them a while, because some of the time early in the season, they just put him in the corner and they had Barton dribbling the ball, or Monte Morris or Jokic or whatever. And I think, as you guys know better than I do, Facu's main strength is his leadership. I mean, he's a great leader and he can orchestrate a team. And I think he did that after Nikola. He played well when Nikola was in there also. Mm-hmm. But his play kind of kept the Nuggets close. And I really thought they had a chance to win. Even after Nikola got ejected, I thought maybe, JaVale McGee is a good player. They put him in, and things seemed to be running. We just couldn't stop Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul, it was a very young team, and closing a series is always difficult. It doesn't matter if you're 3-0 or so. I think that came into play also with being a Phoenix, a young team. So we have two very quick last questions. Yes. We always, when we have a guest, we always do some bizarre questions. I don't know how to tell it in English, but they're like kind of funny questions. And we know you had experience in acting.
Yes.
So maybe we can talk to us about who do you think is the best actor in the league? We're talking about flopping, charges, and stuff. Like, who do you think deserves the Oscar award?
The Oscar for acting.
Yeah.
Well, how about we just start with some of the Phoenix Suns?
I like that.
Chris Paul, as great a player as he is, he seems to accentuate or flop a lot. And as strong as he is, every time there's a brief bump, he shakes or he rattles, he rolls. I think he would be in the conversation. Jay Crowder falls down every time he shoots a 3-point shot. And like on half of them, he wasn't touched, but you only have one challenge. So it's hard to use your challenge on that kind of a play.
And we know Crowder knows how to dance, so he also can be in a musical.
Yes, Crowder. That being said, that's a funny time. That being said, Crowder is really good.
Yeah, sure.
I wish we had him on the Nuggets. He's tough. He shoots the three. He plays hard.
Outrageous.
Yeah, it's hard because so many players accentuate shooting the three. Now, Steph Curry does it a lot, where he shoots and falls down all the time. Lillard does it. And it's because the NBA has rewarded that play. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, now in soccer, you have it where players can get, I don't know if it's fined or they get admonished if they fall.
Yeah, they can get a yellow card for.
Yeah, they can get a yellow card if they're faking.
Yeah.
Well, the NBA really needs that too, because there's no place for that in the game. If you get hurt and you fall down, okay, great. But if you're just trying to embellish to get the other player a foul or a card or kicked out of the game, I just don't think that's fair. So, yeah, a lot of good actors in the league. None of them as good as I was back in my acting days, but they're all pretty good.
One of your nicknames was a lion because of your blonde hair and spectacular hair, I must say. Who do you think has the best hair in the NBA right now, and the worst for case?
The best hair and the worst hair.
Yeah.
Well, Robin Lopez. I don't know if you know him. Of the Lopez.
Yeah, of course.
I put him on the worst.
His hair looks like a hornet's nest. It's been infiltrated by Argentinian bumblebees.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, it's such a mess every time I see it. He's the one that comes to mind. It's interesting that his brother is really, he's got close cropped hair. He looks really neat. But long hair, Chris Birdman Anderson used to have some great hair.
Yeah.
And of course, when Dennis Rodman played, he colored his hair like a rainbow, which was kind of interesting. But Robin Lopez, the worst and best hair in the NBA.
Both. And Robin looks like you don't know when was the last time he took a bath.
Well,
Robin...
I'm glad you said that, because you can't get in trouble because you're in Argentina. I don't want to say that. The NBA will probably fine you $5,000.
So, Chris, thanks a lot for your time. It was a pleasure for us. And it was very funny and interesting to listen to you and to listen to someone who has a lot of relationship in the day-to-day with Facu. So thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed being on the podcast, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Appreciate it, Chris. See you.
Right. Bye-bye.
See you, Chris.
Adiós.
Bueno, esto fue la entrevista con Chris Marlowe. No podemos estar más contentos de haber estado con él. Así que, Nachi, te dejo la despedida para vos. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Chris. Gracias, Nico.
Hey, thank you very much.
Y le mandamos...
Para FACU.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya. Gracias, Chris.
Again.
Okay.
We'll do it
Gracias,
again.
Chris.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I'll send you an email.
Thank you.